All right. Welcome everyone to yet another CCR College and Career Readiness session. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Yusi, who is the Assistant Director and Admission Counselor at the Northwestern University in Qatar. Yusuf is also the admissions, Assistant Director of Admissions at the university. He enjoys advising both new and current international students throughout their journey of pursuing the higher education goals. Education goals, with his experience of more than 10 years in international education, UC is always keen to provide a successful integration and the best college experience and support the Northwestern University international students. We welcome you, UC, to our session, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Srijan. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for helping out. Thank you to everyone who's watching us today. Yes, my name is Yusi, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at Northwestern University in Qatar campus. For those who just joined us, I see more people join in. Welcome again. So we're about to start. And just before we start, I'll tell you a little bit about the institution that I am representing. Northwestern University is we are the only international campus for Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, in the US. We are ranked top 9 in the US, and we are a home of more than 8,000 students in the US. And here on our campus, we are a home of more almost 500 students specialized in communication, journalism, media, and liberal arts. So we're located in a beautiful area. It's a beautiful country, very safe, small country by size, but has a bigger vision and a lot of opportunities for students and young professionals. That's why we are considered one of the best countries to start a career at. So we basically call it living the American dream in Doha by attending the Northwestern University here in Qatar. So what do we provide exactly? We provide different majors and minors, of course, and other specializations. So with majors in communication and journalism, and minors with partner universities within the Education City, and that's where we are located. It's called the Education City. It's a concept of 6 highly ranked institutions brought from the United States, and Northwestern University is one of them. So where all students take a variety of courses across many disciplines here in the humanities and social sciences. Students also come here from around the world. We are home of more than 60 different nationalities. And Qatar as a country is known for like a very diverse and a large population of international students. So with majors in communication and journalism and minors in partner university with Education City, we offer bachelors of science in communication and bachelors of science in journalism and strategic communication. These programs have concentrations and foundation for individuals interested in like film, media production and broadcast, corporate communication, marketing, health communication, sports communication, journalism, public relations, and advertising. We do also offer very generous, along with the Qatar Foundation, we offer very generous financial aid, and which can meet up to full demonstrated needs. So all applicants that apply to us have to or must complete the CSS profile in order, if they are interested in our financial aid, along with the grants and scholarships that we offer. We are now stopped accepting applications for fall 2022. We'll be starting to accept applications for 2023 next year. So, and I will leave my email at the end of this, so you guys can reach out to me if you have any questions regarding the application. There is also a QR code that you see here. If you have not registered for this event, please go ahead and just scan the QR code there and just fill out a form, and so we can stay in touch and we can stay connected about the different things that we offer here at Northwestern University when it comes to scholarships, financial aid through Qatar Foundation, or also the other programs that we offer and events that are coming, including summer programs or pre-college programs. We do visit many countries to meet with students, and we'll keep you posted if you are part of our mailing list as well. So we do anticipate to visit very soon, visit Bhutan. So the purpose of today's workshop is basically to walk you through the A to Z about admissions in the United States. So where all the U.S. institutions, and we represent including Northwestern in Qatar. So, and having you understanding the basics of admissions when it comes to U.S. colleges is very important. So we're gonna go literally all of us together. We're gonna go through from A to Z about all what needs to be known for when it coming to studying in the United States. So A stands for apply. So basically, when applying to an institution, it is very important to understand the requirements of applying. What are the requirements of sending an application? What is how can you apply? So there's most of the universities do use what's called the common application, and that's how we start the application process. Some of them, they will have their in-house applications. Some institutions that belong to systems like the SUNY, the UC system, they will have one application that actually belongs to the system there. So that's for the A. Now moving to the B, there is B stands here for applying broadly, or plan B, or planning a backup plan for when applying. So when applying to institutions, US institutions, it is very important to have a list ahead of time. So have a list listed, and that listing all the universities that you are interested in, listed the programs that you are interested in, listing also the requirements there. So apply broadly, but at the same time have a backup plan, because not all the institutions will accept you at the same time. You will have fewer accepting you, fewer denying you, or fewer conditionally accepting you. But having the top 3 to 5 will be enough for you to do. But it is important to have a broad list, so you can see which one would offer you a better offer when it comes to the majors you're applying for, when it comes to the state or the location that you're dreaming of, and also when it comes to being selective, and also the scholarships that are available there. Moving to the C. C stands for admissions counselor or a college counselor. So like myself, like your high school counselor, like whoever. So there is something called college counselor, and that would be the high school personnel that's in charge of like advising you and counseling you about the different colleges and the application processes. On the other hand, the admissions counselor, like myself, is a representative of the institution you will be applying for in the US, and we are the ones that actually advise you at the same time, also evaluate your application and make a decision on that application. That application will be either denied, accepted, or conditionally accepted by us, admissions counselors. So do not be scared of us. Do not be shy of asking us questions. Do ask us questions. Do email that admissions counselor with any questions, and do request a meeting if you need to, because we are here to support you, and we are here to stand for you, and we have to show you how to, we are here to also make life easier for you. D stands for deadlines. This is a very, very important thing when considering applying to US institutions. So keep in mind, when you make that list, you should also have a column on that list that says deadline. So you keep in mind that there is a deadline, and so you're not late. So when we say deadline here, deadline mean it could be deadline for applying, and it could be also deadline for applying to certain scholarships that are available at that institution that you apply for. So keep that in mind, because it's very, very important. Now, very much relation to deadline, there is different types of admissions or admission deadlines that are available. There's something called early action and there's something called early decision. So when you apply to US institutions, basically they will say like, okay, you can apply. The deadline is January 1st or January 15th, for example. There are some institutions that would say like, we do have another way of applying. We have the regular decision, but we do also offer early action and the early decision application approach. So early action here stands for example, at Northwestern University, we do also provide early action. Early action means if you want a decision early, if you want us to act early and make a decision on your application early, we do have that. And the deadline for that is applying before November 1st. Why this is very good? This is good because if a student wants to be considered, wants to get a decision early and making a decision early about their plans, apply as an early action. Why it is also good because it is the application pool of those people, those students apply early is smaller than the application pool of those that will apply a regular decision. And when you apply early action, you're among the group, which is very small, which means the selectivity will be less. If you wait until you apply as a regular decision, it could be highly selective when you apply. So early action is very easy. There's no action from you, but there's only an action from us, which is giving you a decision by after November 1st, which is literally by December 1st. So early decision, on the other hand, is exactly the same thing, but the only different is it's binding. Binding here means that you have to, if we decide to give you a decision early and we admit you, you have to commit. So, and you have to cancel all the other applications or that you apply to other universities. And that's the difference between this. And you can ask the university what kind of the decision application decision deadlines they have available for you before you apply. Now let's move to the F, finding it. What we mean by here is finding the right fit. So there are more than 4,000 institutions in the US, and all of these institutions could probably have branch campuses around the world to make it easier for international students to don't have to fly or come all the way to the US, but they could, like, for example, talking about NYU, they have NYU Abu Dhabi, Northwestern has a campus in Qatar, Temple would have a campus in Japan, and so on and so forth. But the most important thing here about finding the right fit is where you can succeed. You could go to a highly ranked institution, but you may not be, that might not be the right fit for you. You could go to a really less known institution, US institution, and then you would be happy, successful, and achieving what you would not achieve at a highly ranked. So finding the right fit is very important. And to find the right fit, you look at different things. You look at the location, you look at what you want in the major, you look at the population, you look at the housing, you look at the international body, and so on and so forth. So make sure you find the right fit. Now, the G here stands for grades. Stands for GPA. So basically us as institutions, US institutions, we do evaluate your transcripts. We do make a decision based on your grades. However, it's not the only thing that we'll look at when it comes to GPA. So we'll look at also other components that build that picture of you as an applicant, as a student to Northwestern University or any university that you want to apply for. And that leads me to the H, which is a holistic review. Why? Because we don't only rely on the GPA, we look at you as a person and not as a number, which means GPA and other things matter and not only the grades. So what do we mean by here? We mean by here is, well, when you apply to Northwestern University, for example, we'll look at your GPA, plus we'll look at your interest in the program that you're applying for, and then we'll look at your academics, we'll look at your involvement on campus, what after school activities you did, we'll look at the essay and we'll evaluate you for that, and we'll look at also your engagement of portfolio and how did you interact with us, and all of that will build a solid profile well-rounded student that will be good fit for our programs and our institution. So keep that in mind, because it's not only one area that matters when you send your application. Now, I stands here for international students. So the application requirements. So as an international student, as a student who will be joining us from Bhutan, it is very important to know that as an international student, there might be different requirements compared to if you were a US citizen. So the international students requirement is basically providing us with an English proficiency test. It could be either TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, or standardized test that could be either to SAT or ACT, plus in addition to letters of recommendations, the common application, and the high school transcripts. Keep that in mind. As an international student, know that you are welcome to a lot of US institutions. Know that you're not the only international student, and you have the right to ask the institution that you're applying for, how many international students do you guys have? If you are from Bhutan, have the right to ask the question, how many students do you have from Bhutan? I'm very curious to know if I will be part of a community that actually welcome international students that could also have a community from the country that I am coming from. So that's very important, and keep that in mind, because it is important, because it is a journey that you will be taking. So start early and plan ahead. And that's what we call it here. So if you are a grade 10, 11, or 12 or senior student, starting early is always important, because it gives you the time to prepare for the classes. I mean, the tests that you have to take, whether it's an SAT or ACT or one of the English proficiency tests I mentioned earlier. The thing I'm trying to emphasize here, why starting early is and planning ahead is important. For example, let's say you took the IELTS or TOEFL or Duolingo and you scored less. In this case, it is helpful for you to actually have enough time to take another one. So, and also if you can't make it to this, you will be able to, you have a plan B and you have enough time to act on it. Starting early is very important, especially when you know there will be a scholarship that will require some sort of preparation, whether it's an essay, whether it's a portfolio, whether it's a video together that you're gonna put. So that, keep that in mind. It is very, very important. Knowledge. Be knowledgeable of the US educational system. We are all here to help you, of course, understand, but do your research ahead of time, because that's always very helpful to the students before or when applying to US institutions. Know that there is the educational system in the United States consists of different types of colleges and universities, from community colleges, it could be 2-year, where you spend 2 years, get an associate degree, and then you move to a 4-year college where you get your bachelor's degree. Know that there is a private college, private university, there's public research institutions, there's arts, conservatory institutions, and technology institutions. So those are all very important things to remember and to have a knowledge about the educational system in the United States, so you know how to plan your journey at a US institution. The L here stands for letters of recommendation. Some institutions may require them, some institutions may only require them if you are transfer students, and some institutions may not require them at all. So do keep in mind that that's could be a requirement and could be a good addition to your application when you send it to the institution that you want to apply for. But just keep in mind that these letters of recommendations could be obtained by a counselor, could be obtained by a professional, or a teacher that taught you at the high school level. In the US, there are different majors. There are also minors, and that's what the M here stand for. So it is important as a student when you apply or when you consider to apply to have in mind what major you want to specialize on. What do you want to study? So let's say you want to study communication, for example. Keep in mind and ask yourself, what did I do in high school that will prepare me to be good communication, that will study marketing, corporate advertising, and so on and so forth. There's also minors in the United States that are also an option, which you could add on top of your major, which is a less concentration. And do ask the question, what type of minors do you guys have when you approach that institution? Then let's move to the N here. The N here stands for need-based aid or need-based scholarship. What does that mean? The need-based scholarship for most of institutions is scholarship or financial aid that is basically based 100% on your need, meaning not based on your academics. So we won't look at your academics, we won't look how much your GPA or whatever, but we'll look more at how much you make or how much your parents make. Some institutions may require the CSS profile in order to provide you with a need-based scholarship, where you would want to see what is your income, that you're really legit, and that you do need some sort of financial aid or scholarship that is based on need. Ask that question. For example, at Northwestern University, we do provide need-based financial aid and also need-based scholarship. The Qatar Foundation here would provide you with an interest-free loan where you come here and study, paying nothing, that would cover housing, meals, insurance, and everything. It's like if you are a US citizen studying in the US, but getting a financial aid, which is a loan that you pay after. But here, the Northwestern University in Qatar with the Qatar Foundation would provide you that student loan free. All you need to do is just follow the steps and you would get it, and you would be able to achieve and get your degree at Northwestern University, like if you studied in the US. O here stands for offers of admission. There will be offers coming to you after you apply. These offers vary depending on the institutional deadlines, on the institutional timing. So the offers of admission vary. So the offers of admission could be directly admission, or it could be conditionally admission to that major, or it could be a referral or deferral, and it could be a denial. So keep that in mind. There could be applying for computer science. We may admit you directly and say, hey, you're admitted. We may say, no, we are not admitted. We cannot accept your computer science, but you are admitted to other programs. Or we could say, sorry, we cannot admit you at all. Or we could conditionally admit you by saying, you will need to take a couple of courses first, or 1 year, 1 semester foundation before you may be mainstream to the program. P, personal statement and essay. So P here, when applying to institutions, you are required to write an essay if you are a freshman. There is also a personal statement. For most, those statements is very important to a lot of institutions because it tells us more about why you chose, for example, Northwestern University in Qatar, or why you chose that program. So that's the difference between an essay and personal statement. The essay, you choose a topic out of the 7 prompts that are given to you by the common application, while the personal statement is answering the question as to why Northwestern University. And that's we want to see that you're not really just answering that question by providing a very general, vague statement, but we want to see that you have the interest, you have made the research, and you know the details about us, the institution that you want to apply for, and write that statement. Q stands for questions. Ask the questions. Do not be afraid. There is an admissions office. There is an email for that office. There's a way how you can connect with students, international students, chat with them, ambassadors, different offices, especially an admissions counselor like myself. R here stands for research beyond the ranking and rankings as well. So research is very important. So a lot of institutions, or most of the institutions within the US, they would provide research opportunities about the major that you are applying for, that you are interested in, and learn and ask the question, what are the resources available at that institution, and also learn how you could get involved in research from day one, because it's usually helpful when it comes to after you graduate, and you show that you've been part of certain researches that would lead to you being well prepared for your career after you graduate. R also stands for rankings. Rankings are very important. While it is not the only thing that is important, but ranking could be important. However, that's not the only component you rely on when finding the right fit. So you have to know about ranking, but it's still at the same time, as I just said earlier, it's all about finding the right fit. You could go top one, you could go top 300 institution and be happy at the top of 300 institution compared to being happy at the top one institution. Rankings here does not only stand for what is the ranking of that institution, but it could also mean what is the ranking of that major, what is the ranking of that minor, what if the ranking of the research at that institution, and so many other components when it comes to ranking. S here stands for scholarships. There are different types of scholarship. It is very important to understand what are the different scholarships that US institutions offer. There is a need-based, and we talked about it earlier. There is a merit-based, and that means a scholarship that is based 100% on your academics. There is also athletic scholarship, which is based on you being an athlete and at the same time applying it to a D1 or D2 institution. So you would ask that the department whether if they have what type of the activities or athletics that they have there available for a scholarship if you wanna be interested. There's also departmental scholarships, which, for example, if you are applying for engineering, for applying for journalism, there could be a scholarship that is only there for students interested in journalism. There's only students interested in engineering. So do ask about that question. There is also diversity scholarships. So which means here there are some institutions that they want to just increase the diversity, and they would have a diversity scholarship. There is also country regional scholarships available at US institutions. So do ask that question. Do ask if they have that kind of scholarship. What does that mean? Simply is, for example, they would want to have, they could have a scholarship that is designed specifically for students from Bhutan or from students from Southeast Asia, for example, and that's why it's called regional or country scholarship. There's organizational scholarships. There's also like private scholarships coming from organizations. So make a research. Usually private scholarship would be not through the institution you are applying for, but would be through different organization. There is COVID as well. It's very important to note here when it comes to scholarships, a lot of institutions have increased the offerings because they know about the financial struggle that a lot of students are going to. T here stand for test optional, and given the COVID situation, a lot of institutions shifted from becoming a test optional institutions. What does that mean? Simply is that the SAT or ACT is not required anymore, and it's only optional. So it is your decision to make whether to apply with the SAT or not applying with the SAT. Do ask that question still now if the institutions are still accepting SATs or SATs are still optional or not. Do ask the question whether how important and how helpful it is if you apply with the SAT versus not applying with the SAT. U stands for universities and colleges. There in the US, there are more than 4,500, as I mentioned earlier. So different universities. So you do have a wide range of institutions to choose from the US. V here stands for visa. As an international student, you will be needed a visa in order to become a student at our institutions. Whether you come to our institutions in the US or outside the US, there is a need for a visa anyways. So be mindful of that and plan early and make a decision early about that, so you can get a decision early and start your visa process, because it could be demanding, it could be overwhelming given the steps and the stages you have to go through. So that's for V. The next thing is wait list. So W stands for the wait list. Avoid it and don't depend on it. So a lot of institutions are highly selective. So they're not only gonna accept you right away. For example, so you do want to ask like, what is the admission rate? And you could be waitlisted or you could be denied. In the case of being waitlisted, don't depend on it, of course, but do give yourself some time and consider other applications or other institutions that actually gave you an admission. For example, at Northwestern University, we are very selective. 25% is our admission rate, and that's why we do require that you provide us with we do require that you take time. For example, May 1st will be the deadline for students that are admitted to actually make a decision on their application and confirm their enrollment. Right after that, if we have any spots, we would provide it to the students that meet the requirements to be given a spot after May 1st. So we say to students, avoid it and don't depend on it. But if that's the institution that if you really wants to come to that institution, you can follow up right after and say and confirm to the admissions office that you are still interested and that institution is still your top list institution that you want to go for. So they have that and they can see that there, and they would have you top in their wait list. And once a position opens, it will go to you. So positions or sub spots definitely open in the wait list. So be hopeful for that. But at the same time, you do not want to depend on it, because what if? So that's why you should always plan ahead and make a decision. X, put an X on the list and narrow your choices. That's why we've been saying at the beginning, the more you narrow your choices, the better. So you don't need to have like 10 or more than 10 of schools that you're applying for at the same time. To make it a little shorter, I would always say like 3 to 5 institutions. If you go max, go at 10, and then don't go over 10. It's usually too much. So, and then finally, why here? Remember, it's all about you. It's all about your personality. It's you who will decide what you want to study, where you want to go. So believe in you, and that's very important. And when you write an essay, for example, make it about you more, because that's what we are interested in when applying, when you apply to us. And finally, May 1st would be the deadline, and we hope that you get the decisions that you want, and that marks here your acceptance. Then make a final decision by May 1st is always what we do. But just like keep in mind that this marks the end of the alphabets, and with this, I'll be very happy to take any questions you may have for me, for Northwestern University, and for admissions in general. This is my email address. Please feel free to take a screenshot of it, and feel free to email me if you're interested in applying anytime soon. And I will be very happy to start taking any questions you may have. Thank you for attending. I'm just gonna put here, there is a QR code there, so definitely scan it. So and ask me any questions you have if you want to be part of our discussion. And to you, Srijana.
Yes. Hi, thank you so much. And we have a lot of engagement in our comments chat section today. I feel like the email address, if you can put up your email address again, or maybe type it in the chat here, so people who are willing to connect with you can connect with you. I think that would be very
Yes,
helpful.
absolutely.
We have one very interesting question here. So Namita, she asks, if I get waitlisted for a scholarship, will it be my best interest to write a letter to continue, uh, letter of continued interest to strengthen my chances of getting the scholarship?
Yes. So providing a continued interest letter, it's very important to us. We look at it very seriously, and we do put a note on that. We don't just like see the letter and go on. No, uh, we actually answer you, and at the same time make a note in our files. So once an opposition opens, we would consider you among the others that qualify, and then we could offer you. So it does work in your favor for most cases. It is a good thing. So do not be afraid of doing it.
All right. Thank you. Hopefully, Namita does that. Another question we have from an undergrad, from a grade 12 student. She says, I recently finished 12th grade and I want to apply for a college in singing. Where do I start? What do you suggest?
So music is basically the major that you will be applying for. There are a lot of institutions that would have music as a major, whether it's music technology or music in general or music theory. Be prepared that these institutions would ask you for a portfolio. They would audition and would be required. You would say, I'm an international student, I cannot audition, I cannot travel all the way there. That's fine. A lot of institutions, they would be aware of that you are living abroad, and they would ask you to provide them with a portfolio that would include a video or recording of you playing that instrument that you're interested in.
All right. We do have students who are interested in the PhD and master's program, but I think they can get in touch with you. That would be better because right now we are catering to undergrad students. Um, Hayatullah has a questions, but please feel free to type it in the chat because we're recording the call and we would want the panelists to only be speaking. Um, yeah, so far, I think other than networking, these are the two questions that we got. But okay, so if one would like to aim for high and want to apply for the top university, how do I narrow down my options? Any tips selecting variations in university options? This is by Pelvis.
So yeah, so he said one would like to aim high and want to apply for top uni. How do I narrow down my options? Any tips, selection, variations in uni options? So I talked earlier about like having a list is very important, and planning ahead is also helpful usually. If you have like top 5 institutions or top 10 institutions that you're applying for, basically it's not going to be the case that where you're going to get all of them admitting you, but I'm sure you will have top 1 and top 2 and top 3 if that works. So basically narrowing down is important, but we always say like we can narrow it, but what if I don't get admitted to top 3 and then I never applied broadly? So uh, so be mindful of not only applying. So when we say like narrowing it down, it doesn't mean like just narrow it down to a fact that you're applying to private, for example, you're applying to public, you're applying to community college, you're applying to highly selective and non-highly selective institution. So that would help you definitely. And don't look at only, for example, when we say narrow your options, which means don't look at only like New York as a state, look at also other states. And that's very important. Or look at Northwestern in Qatar instead only looking at Northwestern in Illinois. Look at the branch campuses as well. So those are like, as long as it's a U.S. institution, that's what you really need to look at. So that's a very good advice, and take it from me here.
Oh, I wanted to ask, are there any Bhutanese students in Northwestern?
Yes, we do have students. Yeah, we do have students in the home campus and also here on our campus from
Oh,
Bhutan.
oh, that's nice. Oh, that's good to hear then. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so let's wait for another 2 minutes for any further questions. If not, then we will close the session for today. And those of you who have any further questions, you can write to UC here or email us or DM us at Shapers Temple. We will be happy for you, happily connect you with the panelists here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, everyone, there is a QR code there. Feel free to like scan it if you haven't registered for this event. If no, an email has been, it's also on the screen here. So admissions at qatar.northwestern.edu. feel free to email us, and we'll be very happy to guide you with anything you have. Thank you so much, Sujana. Thank you for anyone who actually offered to give us this opportunity to present to you. And I hope you found this very helpful um, for your plans to study at US institutions.
All right. I'll be stopping the call then. Thank you, everyone.